Okay, so here's a wild question that came to my mind. Scientists are bringing back extinct animals, right? Like we are trying to resurrect woolly mammoths. So, could we do the same thing with people? Like, could we bring back your great grandfather? And I know what you're thinking. This sounds like science fiction. Maybe a little creepy, definitely ethically complicated. But here's the thing, the science behind this question, it's actually really interesting. And the answer reveals something more profound about what makes us us. So, let's talk about. Okay, first, what are we actually doing with extinct animals? Because the headlines make it sound like Jurassic Park, but in reality, it is way more nuanced. So basically, there are three approaches scientists are taking. Approach number one, actual cloning. This is what you probably think of. You take your DNA from a preserved animal, like maybe a woolly mammoth frozen in permafrost, and you try to clone it. You take that DNA, you put it into an egg from a closely related species like an elephant, and you try to grow an embryo. The problem? DNA degrades over time, like falls apart. So for most of extinct animals, we just don't have intact DNA anymore. Dinosaurs, forget it, the DNA is gone. But for more recent extinct animals, things that died out in just a few thousand years, we might have a shot. There's a second approach. This one's clever. Instead of cloning, you take animals that still exist, descendants of close relatives or extinct species, and you selectively breed them to back traits that the extinct animal had. There's a project called the Toros program, where they're trying to recreate aurochs. That's the wild ancestor of cattle. By breeding together different cattle breeds that have aurochs-like features, big horns, dark coloring, wild behavior. Is it the exact same animal? No, but it looks similar, fills in a similar ecological role. It's like a tribute band version of an extinction reversal. Approach number three, genetic engineering. This is cutting edge. Scientists take a living relative like an Asian elephant and they use gene editing tools like CRISPR to change scientific genes to match extinct species. The company Colossal is literally doing this right now to create a mammoth elephant hybrid. And here's what's cool. They're not trying to make a perfect mammoth. They're trying to make an elephant that can survive in the Arctic, that has mammoth-like traits like thick fur and small ears, the cold resistance, an animal that could restore Arctic ecosystems. So that's what we are doing with animals. Now let's talk about people. So could we bring back your great-grandfather using the same techniques? Let's start with the most straightforward question. Do we have the DNA? And actually, yes, we probably do. If your great-grandfather was buried, his DNA is still in his bones. If your family kept a lock on his hair, DNA could be there. We can sequence DNA from ancient humans who lived thousands of years ago. So getting your great-grandfather's genetic code, scientifically, that's doable. We could read his entire genome, every gene, every letter of his genetic code. Okay, next question. Could we clone him? Technically, maybe. We have cloned mammoths before. Dolly the sheep was cloned in 1996. Since then, we have cloned cats, dogs, horses, even a cloned ferret from an animal that died 30 years ago. The process would be similar. Take that DNA from your great-grandfather, put it into a human egg with nucleus removed, stimulate to start developing, implant it into surrogate, and wait 9 months. But here's where it gets complicated. Because even if we could do this, even if we had the technology, which by the way, we don't quite have yet for humans, there's a massive question. Would it actually be him? Okay, this is where science gets really interesting. Because what we are really asking is, what makes a person who they are? Let me introduce you to a concept. Identical twins are natural clones. They have the exact same DNA, the exact same genetic code. They developed in the same womb at the same time. And yet, if you know any identical twins, you know that they are not the same person. They have different personalities, different preferences, different fingerprints even. Your genes are like cookbook, but epigenetics determines which recipes you actually make. It's like chemical tags on your DNA that turns genes on and off based on environmental factors. What your mother ate during pregnancy, stress levels, random chance during development. Even identical twins have different epigenetic patterns. A clone of your great-grandfather would be developing in a different womb, in a different century with different environmental factors. Number 2. development randomness. Even in the same genes, development is complex. The way neurons connect in the brain, the way cells migrate during development, there's randomness involved. It's not perfectly deterministic. Memory, experiences, and integrity. Your great grandfather wasn't just his DNA, he was shaped by growing up in a specific time period. Maybe he lived through wars, depressions, specific cultural movements, but he had parents who taught him things, friends who influenced him, experiences that changed him. A clone born today would grow up with internet, with different political realities, with different cultural touchstones. Even if you try to raise them exactly the same way, which would be impossible and ethically horrifying, you can't recreate the world of 1920s or whatever era your great grandfather grew up in. So, what you'd get is someone who looks like your great grandfather, someone who might have similar genetic predispositions, maybe a talent for music or a tendency towards a certain personality type, but they won't be their own person. They'd be more like his identical twin, born 100 years later than actually him. Okay, so why does this matter? Why am I spending 10 minutes talking about something that we're not even capable of? Because I think this thought experiment reveals something really important about how we think about genetics and identity. We are living in this age where DNA is everywhere, right? Ancestry texts, genetic screening, personalized medicine, and that's amazing. Genetics can tell a lot about us. But there's this cultural narrative that's creeping in where we think genes are destiny, that your DNA determines who you are in a fundamental way. And this thought experiment about cloning your great-grandfather shows us limits of that thinking. Yes, genes matter. They influence our health risks, some aspects of our personality, how we look. But you are not your genome. You are the result of incredibly complex interaction between your genes, your environment, your experiences, your choices, random chance, and things we don't even fully understand yet. And honestly, I find that really beautiful because it means that every person is unique, not just genetically unique, but experimentally unique. You can't be replicated. Your great grandfather was special not because of his DNA sequence, but because of who he became, the life he lived, the choices he made, the people he loved. And if you want to honor that, if you want to keep him alive some way, the answer is not cloning, it's stories. It's passing down what he valued, what he taught, who he was. So could we bring back your great grandfather? Not really. We could maybe create someone with his DNA, but that person would have their own life, their own identity, their own story to tell. And I think that's actually the more hopeful answer. Because it means that people we love aren't just genetic code. They are not reducible to a sequence of A, T's, C's, and G's. They are something more than that. Something that can't be copied or recreated. Something that makes every human life genuinely irreplaceable. Thanks for watching. If you want to learn more about science and cloning, de-extinction, or genetics, subscribe to the channel and follow us. And if you got a wild science question like this one, leave it down in the comments. I love these. See you the next time.